I'm reflecting over the last 2 weeks. There has been trust, there's been surrender, there has been magnetism, there has been fury. I
Yeah.
don't even know which one of them to talk about because all
Right?
of them have just
What?
continued to just
Oh,
exist.
oh, isn't that incredible? We are so blessed. I mean, also, I guess there's this element of, be careful what you wish for because now it's just going to be in us forever. We probably have to have a closing ritual at the end of the year when,
Yeah.
when we say, maybe it's enough now.
Well, I'm a little bit distracted by your awesome hoodie that says, I am the light. And your beautiful hair. Look at you.
Yes,
Magnetism.
I am the light.
You
I'm
are
getting
the light.
lighter.
Exactly.
Yes,
Literally. You
yes.
are the light. Your hair has gone lighter.
It's true
You're
though, it's
glowing.
true. Actually, I have just this morning I was having breakfast with a friend who's visiting, and she insisted she wanted a photo with the two of us. She said we never have a photo, and that is because I do not or have not liked taking my photo. And so I went with it this time, and actually, she was commenting, she said, "Oh, we're both radiating in this picture." And it was absolutely
Amazing.
true.
Yeah.
There was something. Yeah. So the magnetism is so real. It's unbelievable. And keeping in mind that, you know, magnetism is just another form of energy, right? It's also radiation. And very significantly, in fact, you could say that I'm wearing this for my father in some way because he's a physicist and his whole career was working with light. Yeah, with lasers. And I used to visit his lab, and it was for a child just this cave of wonders. It was so mysterious. There was like these laser beams. You had to put goggles on before going in, and they were going everywhere in the lab. If you
Ooh.
imagine those scenes from films where they're trying to get through the laser protection, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always was like, ooh,
yeah,
I'd like to kind of be able to go and weave in between the
right.
lasers, especially well, I mean, it's all about art galleries and stealing precious art, but
Speaking of which, there's an art story in here as well. Interestingly, just yesterday that happened that was crazy. There have been, since the beginning of magnetism 2 weeks ago, I've definitely been attracting incredible things and with such ease
mm,
that it is quite uncanny.
wow.
I
Tell me
literally,
about
I
some of
literally, I
them.
literally made, I made
Okay.
2,000 pounds going to the hairdresser.
You made 2,000
I
pounds
made,
going to the hairdresser. What?
yes.
Tell me. Okay, okay.
The
Tell me your
abundance is
secret.
flowing. Yeah. See this hair? It's actually I got paid to have this hair. Indirectly. It's really a very beautiful story, very instructive, and so much about trusting and creating. And we've talked about like our creations and why they matter, and when you go in the direction of your true expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting that the themes continue, right? It's
Oh,
not like
yes. I have so much to add about this right now because I'm reflecting over the last 2 weeks. There has been trust, there's been surrender, there has been magnetism, there has been fury. I
yeah,
don't even know which one of them to talk about because all
right?
of them have just
What
continued to just exist.
isn't that incredible? We are so blessed. I mean, also, I guess there's this element of, be careful what you wish for because now it's just going to be in us forever. We probably have to have a closing ritual at the end of the year when
Yeah.
when we say maybe it's enough now. I don't know, or maybe not.
No,
Maybe
I
no. I
don't
think
think
not. I
so.
think not
I feel
because
like
ultimately, yeah,
it's
we're
about
expanding.
accumulating all of
You
them,
know?
right? And stepping into them and
Yeah.
having them as tools as and when we need them. So
Uh-huh.
they'll always live. I mean, it was always about embodying them and bringing them out.
Yes. Yes.
And now, yeah, they're showing themselves and revealing themselves to us so that we know and we remember, and that we will always have them. This is beautiful. This isn't what I expected. I
Oh,
expected a focus every single like moon cycle, but actually what's happening is it's just accumulating and it's just so much more
yes!
beautiful.
Yes! I love how yeah, I mean, it is accumulating, but we are expanding. We're expanding by receiving this. And yeah, absolutely, we can continue to expand with it. There's no limit,
Yeah.
and it is so benevolent. That's the other thing, right? There's a sense that it is a gift, and I've not had any bad experiences through it,
Yeah. True.
right? Which is
Yeah.
interesting, but it's I mean, that's of course, that's another matter. That's also so much about perspective and
But I know, I'm like
yeah.
I think it's because we're both very positive people, glass half full versus half
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. But going back briefly to what I was saying about my dad, so his first book that he published as a physicist was called Light Scattering in Magnetic Solids. So it combines
Yeah.
these, and he was studying the properties of magnetism. So yeah, it just gives me chills thinking about it, but it's very connected to him, this theme. And I think that's going to be interesting in how it
Yeah, because
expresses.
he, like, was looking at the scientific interpretation of it and
Yeah.
understanding of it, and now you're really kind of delving into the more spiritual side of it.
Yes. Which and in such contrast, I mean, I remember also writing a play when I was a teenager that was about I mean, looking back at anything I wrote in that phase of my life, I see now this huge spiritual meaning in all of it, which is fascinating. But it was about a scientist, and I was very clearly grappling with, my father's what he did and the rationalism of it. But the fact that it's a similar kind of quest for truth in its essence.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So I still wanna hear how the hell you got paid £2,000 for getting your hair done. I need proof of this magnetism. It's not really true. I do trust it for sure, but I think it'll be interesting to hear more about the
It's
story.
it's, um
It's expansive as well for me.
it is absolutely, especially with you because it's in fact not related to hair, but to art, and you're an artist too. So, this is an inspiring story in that level of trust and belief in what we do. Because so 6 months ago when I first went to this salon, I as ever, that you always talk to I mean, and you're there for 5 hours. So, a lot ends up being discussed, and among other things, I'd said that I was an artist, and I showed them some of my art, and they had said, "Oh, why don't we do an exhibit here at the salon? We'd love to. Their walls are completely bare." And I thought, "Oh, what a great opportunity. I must follow up on this," and then I did nothing. I didn't even get in touch. They said, "Follow our Instagram." I didn't do that. It was classic self-sabotage. No action.
Yeah.
And then I had, in February, just before my India trip, this kind of I don't remember if we talked about it here on the podcast or separately. Um, I ended up, on the spur of the moment, creating 3 artworks for a different space, purely because I have to do this. I have to trust that the invitation is there for a reason. And even though I only had kind of 2, 3 hours between my arriving in London and my flight to India, I I'd never tried this method before. I was working with materials I'd never worked with. It was just a vision. It was just something that came to me, and I thought, "I'm going to do this." And again, and at the beginning, it was classic journey. It was, everything seemed to be going wrong. None of the materials were behaving the way I thought they would, and I kept going and going, and eventually did exactly what I wanted to do, and it matched the energy and the even the colors of that place perfectly. And it seemed like it was going really well, and then they had an event, and they'd wanted the art there for the event, and I was going to curate the whole building for them, and so I was really excited about this project, and then that fell through, and they didn't end up continuing with what they were doing. And so again, you have this, you know, in some interpretation, you could say, well, it didn't go anywhere. It's probably a sign that my art is useless and I should forget about it, right? You could take that point of view. But no, I have these pieces now. I'm going to take them next time I go to have my hair done. I'm going to take them with me
Yes.
and see if they like them, because they also echoed something like when I was there, I'd noticed these rips on the wall just from hair, like things that had randomly splashed on this beautiful kind of pristine wall. And I thought, it's if I do something, it's going to be inspired by that, echoing that. And they did echo that. And so, anyway, so yesterday I go and I've got this huge bag with me of these massive canvases. Show up, and of course they've probably forgotten all about it and even who I am, because in 6 months they've had 100 of customers. And so I turn up and I take it out, put it up, and again, this takes a level of audacity that I don't think any prior version of me would really have done,
Yeah.
because I mean, just to turn up and go, yeah, I love
I mean,
it.
like, here we go. Here's my art.
And then also, but I think also mainly the thing that would have held me back is the fear of rejection, right? The fear
Mhm.
that you turn up and they're, oh, kind of awkward. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's nice. But they don't really want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, the reaction was amazing. I could see genuinely any of the staff that walked past it were just, wow, what's this? Oh, we get to put it up. Fantastic. And yeah, they really loved it. They want to frame it. They were going to, anyway. So that was already great. And then I'm sitting there and there's another woman having her hair done, and we were finishing up almost at the same time. And her stylist comes up to me and he whispers in my ear, "I think you have your first client." I I went, um,
No ways.
"Yes." And she comes up to me and she goes, "I think it's so beautiful, and I feel so connected to this artwork. I would love for you to do the same. Like, how much is the art?" I had to immediately I I could not hesitate, right?
Yeah.
I process this in a millisecond, and I have to come across like I'm an artist.
Yeah, yeah. You are an artist. You are an artist, but
I cannot I cannot hesitate before the number. It's very much like, they say in sales,
yeah.
um, you know, just name the price and don't let them feel that you're not sure that it's
Yeah.
worth that price. And then she didn't blink at all. Let's say it's 2,100 for 3. And so that's I know. It's so
Amazing!
amazing, amazing. And but the thing, the the astonishing thing was just how easy it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It didn't take me knocking on a million doors until could do this. It just took me taking one step, and then the universe meets you,
Yeah.
right? And of course, there's all this other preparation my entire life that's been happening. But at the same time, when you're magnetizing in the right frequency,
Yeah.
yeah,
It matches you. It meets
it
you where
just
you
it's
are.
like, what?
And it happens super quick as well. Like, I think that's what,
Mhm.
for me over this last 2 weeks, what I've realized is that when it starts flowing thing after another, and I'm just, "Whoa, what's going on? But this is this is awesome, but this is also very weird and creepy."
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, wow, it's been, I mean, yeah, I think the last week in particular, I went through a period of things just feeling like my word, this is really hard. I'm feeling really like unsure about direction. But it was so actually it was very interesting. And it's interesting that I'm wearing the color blue again, like you spoke about blue, because this is actually very topical for me around my throat chakra,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talking about singing and just I guess expressing my truth is something I because I've been such a people pleaser and trying to lean into like authenticity fully and just say, not worrying about what the consequences are going to be or hurting people's feelings or um messing up the transaction or negotiations or whatever from a professional perspective. But my throat started getting, soon after we recorded, I had a sore throat, and it was
Yeah.
just out of the blue completely. I was feeling fine, but woke up and it was really, really sore. And this was on the Tuesday of that week. And I'm just like, oh, what is this? This makes no sense. And the next 2 days was a lot of just grappling with this sore throat, but knowing that this is more than just a sore throat. This is like, there is somewhere that I'm not expressing myself. I'm not speaking my truth. And then because I hadn't listened with the sore throat, my dreams started. My dreams
Wow.
started showing me that I am not, well, my interpretation of them and what I understood from it is that there are areas of my life in personal and professional where I'm holding back because I'm afraid of rejection. Again, same thing, that rejection thing. And then come Thursday, the first thing I did is I emailed the company that I'm going to be starting to work with, and I was just like, okay, this is where I'm at, and I was very honest and transparent on
Great.
the email.
Great. Because
They
we spoke about
responded
this, right?
within,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they responded within 20 minutes. And they were
Mm.
just, no, Robin, please don't. You've got this 100%. This is your start date. And they gave me the date. They
Yes,
answered my
look,
question. I was
when
the
they
24th of April. Yeah, we had spoken about it. Here we go. Here's your start date. Agreed on it. And we're gonna call you tomorrow and finalize some other details. So that was the first thing on the professional front, which is a massive weight on my shoulders. That was
yes,
just
what a
really
relief.
stressing me out.
And what a perfect lesson in asking for what you need,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and being very specific. I need a start date and my contract. And then they were like, here you go. And I'm like, what? Huh? Yeah, I've been sitting for 2 weeks, twiddling my thumbs, being
Yeah.
so anxious. What if I don't get it?
Yeah.
The more I get to know them, the more excited I am about it. And it's also in alignment. And I was like, okay, 24th of April, now I have 2-3 weeks. My renovations I'm doing with my flat are taking so much time. If that it hadn't been for this time, I wouldn't be able to actually go and focus on it and actually enjoy the process. You know, like how all the timing of everything has just been falling into place so beautifully. It did
Yes.
not make
Yes.
sense for the last 6 weeks that I've just been. I don't understand why I know this is right. I know this is in alignment, but like the timing's not making sense. The timing wasn't
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
yet. And now the timing is just like all making sense. The second thing was somebody that I had started going on dates with. And it had actually only been 2 weeks. But I had a feeling that this person wouldn't be there. I was holding space for them a lot. And if I'm not in a good headspace, I don't know if this person is going to reciprocate and be supportive of me. And what is important for me is that I'm in a relationship where support flows in both
Yes.
directions.
Yes.
And so I was feeling pretty down on that day, and I was very honest about it. Let's see how he shows up. And he firstly, he arrived at my flat, and I was burning sage because I just want positive. He's a very sort of highly strung, stressed person. I mean, very ambitious, doing things very successful, all that stuff, but barely can sleep through the night, insomnia, all these things. So I'm just like, this person's got a lot of energy that is really intense, and I'd like to ground and get into a good headspace. And I also don't want them to bring all this negative juju into my house.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But anyways, all I did was sage. I was just like smudging. I was smudging him. And he was like, what is this nonsense? And what's the scientific evidence behind how this thing works? And I was just like, I don't expect everyone to believe the same things that I do, but there is a certain way that you approach someone's beliefs in like a sense of like respect or
Yeah,
like in a
yeah,
respectful way and
yes.
like curiosity,
Oh,
not in like a belittling like me
yes, yes.
behavior.
This is so interesting. I had a similar experience with my man. To briefly interject, and I love that you're putting words on this because it's very easy to not feel legitimate in that, right? And so I was having kind of similar thoughts to what you were saying is, if somebody's taking time to give you something or give you an experience, then no, of course you don't have to like it. And I'm not offended if you don't like it.
Mm.
But there's an element of curiosity that
And
can be,
open-mindedness to
yeah,
just explore. And if at the end of it you're like, still not my vibe, not my thing, like
yeah,
I think also just I realize communicating and just using words,
yes, instead of
use your
just
word.
being right, instead of just going a bit,
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not a mind reader, cannot tell what's going through your head. Yeah, I get it might feel confrontational or whatever, but that's also the way that we've yeah, just speaking your truth seems to be a confrontation if it's a disagreement to what the other person's perspective is. And that's not really what it is. And I think there's a lot of reframing around how to communicate and that it's okay to like share your truth. Just, you're not shutting down the other person in any way. And it's really about the means of how it's actually executed.
mhm,
And I find that not executing it is even worse because then it's like
yeah,
I'm sitting there trying to
mhm,
mind read and the
yeah,
person is not
yeah,
responding to me. And I'm just like,
yeah,
we are not 2-year-old children. We have got vocabulary for a reason.
and
I did. So I tapped into rage. I literally said that to I was like, you're a grown ass adult. Just use your words. Like, I know, I know. I actually, I kind of, I felt it coming up and I was just like, yeah, well, this is my month for rage and I'm feeling it and I need to use my vocal cords because I don't communicate the stuff. And this is a completely reasonable expectation from
yeah,
someone. So I vocalized it and it felt so amazing. So great.
yes, oh,
Needless
amazing.
to say, I ended things with him then. It's been good, but it's not for me. This doesn't align with my values and what I'm looking for.
I'm so thankful that the goddess did that for you because, I
100%.
mean, yes, yes, the goddess in you was not having it, and frankly, I mean, he just his energy sounded completely wrong for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I later I haven't I mean, touch wood, lucky, whatever, but I haven't experienced like narcissists in relationships in the past, or at least not like evident ones.
Yeah,
He After the fact, I sort of spending time speaking to my therapist about it, she made me realize that he is, but like it's not something I would recognize because I haven't experienced it in
no,
the past.
no,
So, I mean, in my own roundabout way, I kind of got
mhm,
there anyways, and very quickly. And this is the thing, things have been happening a lot faster. It's like 2 weeks, and then a new person
yeah,
comes in and then it's that person so much more in alignment and then I can also make decision about that very quickly, so it's been that's what I felt since it's been over the last week and a half. It's just been the moment I lean into like what my truth is, I speak
yeah,
my truth
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. It's just been like, bah, almost to me within a few hours. For example, one of them was also financial for me. My client like emails me and was like, I'm going to pay you for 3 months up front. I had just put all my money into a pension fund because it was the end of the
yes,
tax year.
yeah, yeah.
And like being financially prudent and responsible and all that stuff as a consultant. Yeah, I was like, okay, shielding it from tax, totally legal, by the way. This is not financial advice, but this is
Well,
but you should do that.
if anyone does need financial advice, Robin is the best person
Yes,
to do
I
it.
I I definitely know this stuff. So anyways, I'd put the cash in my account into a pension fund so that I don't have to pay as much tax. And so my bank account was super low. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna trust. At this point, I didn't even know when I was gonna start working again. It will come. I have investments if I really need to liquidate, but whatever. Let's just sort of trust that this will work out. Literally the next day, my client emails and is like, I'm going to pay you for 3 months in advance. And I was like, thanks. I didn't even ask, but thanks. I'll take the 3,000 pounds you're going to put in my bank account. Yeah. So
Love it.
yeah,
I love it.
it's just, yeah, magnetic.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
been trust. Now I just feel, I had a conversation with my mom earlier this week, and it's taken me a while to realize, to really fully, I mean, I have been trusting. I've been thinking I've been trusting, but now it's like I believe it even more because I've seen it. I have evidence of it, which is going to make it a lot easier for me through times in the future. I feel like through
Yes.
times that are going to be a lot
Yes.
more challenging, to know that, like, it does, if I'm living in alignment, I will get the support. It will come through.
Exactly. Exactly. And trick is that you have to trust first.
Yeah.
That, yes, the evidence is going to reinforce that for your mind, the mind being the part of us that is constantly vigilant and wanting to protect us and keep us in the safe zone. And so if you listen to the mind, you won't trust to the degree that you need to in order to get the evidence that you can.
Mm,
Right? So
yeah.
there's that's what I think is implicit in taking the leap, is that you're leaping beyond the mind's capability into the unknown, and then you get the evidence, and then that, reinforces it, and you feel more and more comfortable, right? Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I know it's so beautiful when it happens. I think for me, the whole, I mean, look, also, it's not in the bank, right? This woman may not end up contacting me, and who knows, but even just the experience that somebody wanted it that much
Yeah.
and was willing to pay is enough to now drive me to have the belief that,
Yeah.
you know what,
100%.
actually, it does have value.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I was with the stock market fluctuation, right? I lost a few grand, nothing life changing. And again, it was a question of, how can I look at this in a positive way, not as a loss, but actually as an invitation to make it back, essentially. Again, because it's not a huge amount of money, I was just like, well, now I'm determined to make it back.
Mhm, mhm.
That money is just going to arrive for me. And then this happened, right? And so, yeah, it's very interesting.
It's interesting, and I think I mean, there's this lady, Lacey Phillips, To Be Magnetic in LA, that I followed a couple years ago. I
Ooh,
did her To
yeah.
Be Magnetic. Actually, it's such a well, titled
Yes. Yes.
community. Yeah, it's all about magnetism, and
Uh-huh.
she kind of, it's weird. I thought about her stuff, and I was like, I must listen to her expanded podcast again because it's been a long time. And then then I went for a walk with a friend, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like doing this To Be Magnetic course." Yeah,
So
I
now
know,
it's coming up again, you're being reminded, yeah. Yeah.
totally coming up again. But in that, I have no idea where I was going with this train of thought. What was I saying about Lacey Phillips and To
Yes.
Be Magnetic?
What does she
Uh,
say? It'll come to you, it'll come
yeah,
back.
it'll come back.
It's to do with the trust, with the
Uh,
abundance coming, I don't know,
yeah, I can't
positivity.
remember. There was a specific thing related to what we just spoken about that I
It'll
wanted
come,
to.
it'll come.
Yeah,
I wanted
but
to go back while you ponder that, I wanted to go back. Ooh,
look what I did. I'm showing a massive bruise on my leg.
it's
Just
huge.
FYI. Huh?
That's enormous. Yes, I can see
I
it.
I know. Whoops.
Was
You know,
that the
I've been
red?
doing renovations
Yes.
of my main bedroom, and I didn't have a very stable, I don't have a ladder or anything. So I had a stool I was using on a carpet, and it was not very stable. So while I was taking down my wardrobe,
Robin.
I fell. Yeah.
You have to
Anyways.
be so careful. Well, okay.
And no, I do. But you know what? It was so, the day I took out my wardrobe, there was so many, this is the smallest thing that happened. Could have been way worse things that happened. Things just kept on falling. And I was like, wow, that didn't hit me. And I was so shocked at the end of it. I was just like, Thank you, whoever's watching over me, because I could have literally killed myself today.
I wonder why there was so much resistance around the closet.
Yeah.
What are you kind of unearthing in
What
that?
I'm unearthing is that I need to be comfortable with asking for people for support. I always want to do things. I think I can do things by myself. And what
Yeah,
this wardrobe project has taught me is that it's impossible.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't do it by myself.
yeah.
And this bruise is a daily reminder of the fact that it's okay for me to ask for other people for support.
That's actually fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it and also the state of my apartment where there's just wood
Wow,
everywhere right now
wow.
is also, but
I'm really
yeah,
excited for the
I realize I find it really hard. I've been so used to being independent, doing things myself, and it's been a big part of my identity that I feel so uncomfortable asking other people. And my dad is exactly the same, so I'm just great,
yeah,
thanks dad. I'm just
yeah.
like repeating the same thing.
Yeah,
And this project has definitely showed me that well, firstly, like patience again is coming up. I thought I would get it done in 2-3 days. It's going to take me at least a week, and that's okay. And I'm going to need to ask people to come and help me, and that's also okay. So yeah, but
great. Just
it's
don't ask
been
me because I'm not gonna help you.
no, it's I find I just tell people that I'm doing it, and if it's their vibe, they usually like, oh, can I come and help? So
Yeah, yeah.
that's the best way. Or otherwise, I just call my neighbors and who go to the gym and are really buffed, and I'm just like, please, can you come and help me carry stuff?
No, I was kidding. I mean, I do love.
Yeah,
It's just that my children are going to be with me in London.
yeah. This week it's holidays, right?
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, but I wanted to go back to what, when you're talking about the fact that things would happen so quickly. And I was thinking about that in relation to rage, because I want to just mention, I don't know if we're going to end up exploring it, but at least to mention this other quality of anger, which is clarity, right? It is a clarified, like in the same way that fire clarifies,
Yeah,
purifies, and light, right? I feel like we can see rage as being the energy of forward motion,
yeah.
right? But with direction. And
Focus. That's another thing that I feel
yeah,
when the word comes up to my mind when you're explaining that.
like my dad's laser.
Like the laser,
And the laser.
exactly.
Yes, it all comes
It all comes
together.
together.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It does do that. It does help. It clears as well. As you said that, well, it's the phoenix rising from the ashes type of analogy as
Yeah.
well, of just like
Yeah.
burning off all the excess that doesn't have to be there
Right. Right.
and just focusing on the
Exactly.
most
Exactly.
important
And isn't
part.
that interesting that when you say that, and I think of the sage that you were burning that got rid of that man, right? You literally cleared the energy of him out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when he was choking, I was just that's how much negativity you've got on you that you can't even handle this. That's
Yeah.
I was trying I was going into this whole thing of like, am I doing some weird witchy stuff right now? Because I feel like there's a lot of spirits going on around here and I'm actually choking them out of this.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't like smoke. It's not a
You
spiritual
know?
thing. He's not choking because he has this negative energy.
You never know, Robin. You might have had an effect on him that you will never be aware of. It might have had an impact in his
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't, if he doesn't think about it now, he'll think
Yeah.
about it. That's why I also feel strongly that when we are in our authentic expression, we're serving others, even though it might seem like we're, you know, being harsh or behaving in a way that is beyond what we would normally be comfortable with in our expression. because of people pleasing, right?
Mm,
Within the scope of the people pleaser, it's such a narrow band of activity, right? I mean, I know because I was like this and I'm around, the women in my family are like this. I even even saying it, I just feel this contraction, this weight
in your
because
body.
yeah, yeah, you're always restricted. And you think it's because you want that other person to feel good and for everything to be good and okay. And sometimes that's not how we best serve others, actually. Sometimes they need to hear the things and to have the sacred rage.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The rage for the cleansing for cleansing. Yeah, I was thinking a lot about the oppression of women this week actually. I listened to this podcast which was actually deeply moving for me. It was a bit it was actually triggering. It reminded me of my ayahuasca journey, and it reminded me of the pain or the hurt that we're putting on the earth, and how we're destroying the earth. And I also had a lot of memories during that of the pain that the women have gone through. It felt like it was my ancestors' generational trauma that I was working through.
Mm,
And in particular in South Africa, with apartheid, it's more recent, I guess, that and direct, that I know that my mom suffered it, and my grandmother sort of suffered the oppression of growing up in a country where you weren't seen as equal to everybody else, and being afraid, I guess, of people that look different to you. And then she went and married a white man. So I mean, she found a way to overcome that, but still there's, I don't know, I felt a lot of that trauma sort of come back in this podcast I was listening to, and then spent a very, yeah, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe 10, 20 minutes dying, because it was all, yeah, sort of the pain that women have had to, yeah, go through and suffer and still do. It's all within us as well still.
yeah, it is. It
And
is.
it's such a process of, and I don't know how I've gotten into this very dark topic, but yeah, I don't know. It just made me realize that there's so much on the mass for men to do to help heal that, for women to do and healing that. And it's just so deeply ingrained, and trying to not pass that over to future generations as much as possible. It's all about doing a lot of work in ourselves to try and heal all that trauma. Yeah, it was just it was very intense. It threw me off for a few hours, to be honest. But then I was okay afterwards. It's all part of, I feel like the more I'm doing this work of like getting into the
Mm,
divine feminine, and also just yeah, and tapping, more tapping into my intuition, I'm I'm becoming even more sensitive.
mhm.
Um and feeling and answers and things are coming and popping in my head when I ask a question. I'm like, "Oh, that's what it is."
Mm,
Yeah, it's not all the magnetic stuff, I guess. I think there's some parts that are sadder, but they're healing as well.
yeah,
At the end of the
yeah,
day, like, I'm glad I had that experience, even though like going through it was just like, oh wow, this feels like super heavy, and just like crying and purging, and there was this heaviness here in my chest and my arm, and I went to yoga to try and just like release the emotions in my body and do some somatic practices. But um yeah, I think maybe a bit of why I'm sharing this is that as much as there is all this positivity in the journey, there's also parts that are not so easy.
yeah,
And you can be, I personally become a lot more open and a lot more receptive, and understanding more about, and that interconnectedness around other people or generational sort of trauma and things are sort of surfacing and coming up in this process. And I think it's important to understand that there is both the light and the dark, and we shouldn't run
yeah,
away from the dark as well. The dark is an important, we should be calling in the dark and the shadows into the light with us so we can see it and, heal it and allow it to be safe around the fire with us. Don't know.
yes.
Anyways, I'll stop there.
Mm, I so appreciated hearing that. Really. I feel so thankful that you shared it, and it's so important to say it and for it to be heard. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very conscious of having this and also being on a dark background because, there's not one without the other, as you say. Although the light is primordial, right? The light comes first. Um, that's interesting.
I mean, we were talking about how all these things, external things, are trying to get into our space today.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned that actually. So my mom called just before we started recording. You
Yeah,
ended up with some message or something. What happened there? Why did that have to happen? We are
exactly.
being,
Well, it did have to happen because then I got this message. Well, we'll get into that in a second, but I feel like that was definitely a confirmation of what I was just about to say, which was there's no dark without light, of course, but dark doesn't generate light, right? So the light has to have been primary. And that to me means that goodness is primary, right? That goodness is and love is the fundamental essence, and that we can take courage from that and strength from that and bring that light to the darkness and know that it will dissolve and have the confidence to move forward because it can be so overwhelming. And I've been actually reflecting on this very thing because I'm also working with somebody as a client who said this to me, that she just, she often feels overwhelmed. She wants to work on behalf of women, but with everything in the world, she just feels like that it's so much that how can you ever make a change? And I think, yes, when you look at it that way, of course you feel very insignificant, and yet you still have to do it anyway. And I just so strongly believe that the only change can come from within.
yeah, agree.
And so no matter how painful the history has been, I don't think it's wrong for the priority to be for us to now be in our highest self, right? The priority is always our inner state. Are we in joy, in positivity, in love? And in being that, we're not ignoring that suffering exists, but we're also not perpetuating suffering in the only way that we have control over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, definitely. I mean, when I talk about these experiences that are, it's more, that was a healing experience for me.
Yeah.
I allowed that for myself to feel those emotions because I knew that I was releasing them and healing them and
Mm,
understanding them rather
mm,
than holding on to it and getting into a victim mentality or anything like that. So yeah, I think and it was all because I was leading from a place of light, of positivity, of just like that was my foundation. That's sort of the baseline I was at. So I was able to sort of handle it. I could have always just repressed it. I could have just been like, "What?
yeah.
No, I don't want to feel this," and stop listening to the podcast. That was the easiest way because the
Yeah.
podcast was the thing that was triggering me. So I could have just stopped, but I was like, "No, I am the light, and, I can feel this. I can sort of hold space for this and allow this to sort of, it's triggering me for a reason. Something in me needs healing, even if I'm not aware. It's in my unconscious or whatever, but something needs healing. That's why I'm feeling triggered. I am a feeling that like I know I'm the light and I know I'm strong enough that I can handle it. So let me let that flow through me. So
Mm.
that was more, yeah, the sort of approach that I took. And it was because I knew that I am strong enough to
Mhm.
I know the light is strong enough. I guess it's the trust as well. The
Yeah.
magnetism, everything has also just been like
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, it was like this blazing fire at my core that I knew is I know is there. I mean, besides being a fire sign, but I was just
Yes.
like, it is strong enough to burn through all of this and shine a light at the end of all of it.
Mm.
And it did do that. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was an unexpected experience because it was like
Yeah.
going for a walk,
Yeah.
listening to a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, a really good one, and just a good like a reminder for me as well. You know, what's my purpose? What am I trying to achieve?
Mm.
You know, it's
Mhm.
sort of
Mhm.
a few things came up from that. Yeah, remembering, you know, prioritizing what's the most important thing for me now. Yeah.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
still am
Yeah.
so curious about the message that you got on your phone. No, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna forget.
Yes, and I'm curious about the conversation with your mom
With
and
my
the
mom, yeah.
dream. That is so interesting. So, for context, what happened was that we were preparing to record and we were gonna do it at 11:30. And then I texted you and I said, "I'm on the studio." And he said, "Oh, my mom just called me." And I went, "Okay, fine." But I'm not on a time limit, but I know you are. And so I'm watching the time go by and thinking, and then I check my phone and I see I've had this message through, that is just, again, of the order of fantasy. Does this really happen? So I'm getting, um, it's literally like, do you want to do this night on a yacht in London on 22nd of May? And then I go to look at the brochure that was sent through as well. This is literally fantastic dinner and stateroom in a yacht for free, right? And, I had to read it through several times to make sure, and then when I went to register for it, I was still expecting at the end for there to be some payment, and there wasn't, and it's just that I get to spend the night on an incredible yacht on the Thames. And I just had to, have the delay of your call in order to accept that. But that's less important than the fact that is the high luxury experience that is just given to me. And, the funny thing about it is that somebody I know, well, she leads this group that I'm in, and I've been in for more than a year now, and it's ending this month. It's called The Garden. I mean, I don't wanna get into too much detail, but within it, we do something a bit similar where she brings in kind of a theme and then, but it's more around a figure, or last year it was animals. Anyway, it's been a very, very powerful
Mm.
place for me
Yeah.
to be and connect, and she and I especially are very, very connected. And I finally met her when I was in Miami last time, and it was just wonderful. Anyway, she's been posting in the group chat for that she's on a yacht, and she also received this experience, and she was saying to us, I'm manifesting for you guys to be pampered the way I'm being pampered, right? Yes. Yeah, yeah. And then out of nowhere,
Thing. Oh, that's so
yeah,
incredible. I love
that
that.
that was what just made me go, what? Why a yacht now? When I know she's literally out there on this, doing this. So it's yeah.
Yeah. But this is an important thing as well, though. This is something that is new that
Mm.
I introduced into just my sphere of being this year is
Mhm.
holding
Yeah.
intentions for friends, for people that I care about. I actually went into the year and I asked like my closest girlfriends, what are you calling in this year? Like, what's important for you? Because we're all interconnected. Why? Yes, I can be magnetic for myself, but why can I not also use that
Yes.
magnetism for my friends as well? And kind of hold those intentions together.
Yeah.
That's literally what your friend
Yeah.
did for you. And
Exactly. And I love that that's what we picked up on, because I think that's more important as a takeaway than the fact that this got, manifested, is that actually we are powerful together. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, we're definitely more powerful together. And I think even this podcast and us going through this journey together, I do feel like, as I said, I am attracted. There's magnetism that's coming through, and it's not even something
Right.
I've got my focus and attention on, yet it's
Yes.
still coming through because we are
That's the
on
best.
this
It's the
journey
best.
together.
And
And
we're I know exactly that.
yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful to experience. And I definitely had my rage moments. I was lying on this very sofa doing a practice where out of nowhere I just started expressing, even in a way that I probably never have in life, where I was as it was just a very animalistic kind of bearing of the fangs, and then just a sense of, yeah, and the sense of rage, and the sense that, and as that was happening also, I was thinking, we are so restrained in how we interact day to day. And it's not like I'm gonna go to someone and be like, "Arr!" But at the same time, we can have a broader range. That's something that also I took away from an amazing practice that I tried called transformational connection, and maybe we can talk about that next time. But through that, I realized how we can communicate with others even more intimately, supportively, directly, because every interaction I had there really was transformational for both people, and it was short. It was a few minutes, and it's incredible what you can achieve when you're truly present with someone. It was astonishing. And
Yeah.
so, yes, this power of, because the journey, we can feel so inward, and so much of it is inward, but actually there's immense things we can achieve together. And that's exciting.
We should definitely talk about that transformational connection thing, because I have a lot to talk about on this topic because I'm studying transpersonal psychology coaching, and one of the the principle around it is around like open awareness and presence, and how there is this mutual sort of transformation journey that happens in that sort of interconnectedness that you establish between the client and the coach. And it is, yeah, I think when you talk about presence, I just think about like open awareness and connectedness, and that how it can be so transformational, even in a short period of time, but just being able to
Yes,
be
yes, yes.
so fully
And
present
I
with
think
that
you and I
person.
should do this. I mean, of course we should definitely record together in person. And when we do, it would be so interesting to ignore the camera and just to be present with each other and see where that goes and how different
Yeah.
that is. Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a great idea. We should definitely do that. I think I'm gonna close off by telling you about the dream.
Mm,
My mom's dream, not mine. Because this is going into the realm of like woo. Dreams for me are a big deal. I've learned that like that's where I get
mhm,
a lot of messages from my spirit guides, or ancestors in particular. So in my Zulu traditions and beliefs, it's my ancestors that are giving me these messages through my dreams. Now I've can lucid dream quite easily, which I've discovered in the last year that it's not a normal thing. Not everybody can do that. Some people actually train to learn how to lucid dream, but for me, it's always come quite naturally. But I realize I've always had a predisposition to that because my mother has like
mm,
got psychic abilities in her dreams, and it's always been for quite, like, she would be able to predict, like, she would know if someone had died, for example, on that night, and she had get these terrible dreams, and it was always like for really terrible occurrences or things that people are passing. So
Mm.
she actually suppressed it her entire life. But in the last year, I've been talking to her a lot more about dreams, because I'm curious about it and I want to work with my dreams a lot more. And so she started opening up a lot more about it. And she called me just at the time when we're supposed to record. And she was just like, "You'll never believe the dream I had on 2 nights ago," because then it was true. So she dreamt, she had this very, I won't go into the detail of the dream exactly, but like she was very distressed when she woke up, and she had a dream about a child that was 8 months old, 8, 9 months old, and linked to my brother, my youngest brother. And my brother was in that dream as well. And she was just like, she was with she was with her mother, and she was sitting around sort of a fire, a council of basically the family, and this child was brought to her, and she's just like, there is a child that was never born that is linked to my brother, and he hasn't
Wow.
told anyone in the family, and like maybe he doesn't know. And so she then starts investigating, speaks to my brother's girlfriend. She had an abortion at 3 months. And the baby would have been, based on the timing, the baby would have been,
No.
if it was born, it would have been 8 months old. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, so intense. And I mean, it's yeah, there is in the Zulu traditions and rituals, like they need to actually acknowledge this child. It feels like it wasn't seen, it wasn't allowed to obviously come to like to be born, and everything is in the Zulu tradition would be bringing bad luck for my brother for his life, if he doesn't actually acknowledge this child and
Mm.
properly respect its burial, and like allow it to pass on and all the rest of it. So they'll need to do some like traditional ceremonies in order to sort of
Mhm.
respect that spirit properly. But it had to come to my, in order for her to obviously be that conduit to communicate it to my brother. And he's been having a lot of like challenges over the last like year and a half, like really, really bad stuff. So now, like, they kind of sort of have an idea of this could be it, like at least from the ancestors' perspective, this is something that they need to like deal with. So yeah, very, very crazy stuff. But yeah, my mom is a witch, definitely. She wouldn't like it that I said that, but she has the most craziest manifestation powers and things like that. Like she won 10,000 rand. What is that? The equivalent of 5,000 pounds a week ago. And on the day that my dad said to her that they need to get a new car, and they were like, "Oh well, we don't really have the financing for it now." And then she went to gamble like literally 20 pounds, and then she won the money for the car. She
But
is a
I
proper
love
witch.
it.
So we'll end on that, on some very
Yeah.
spiritual Zulu traditional stuff.
That I think, yeah, we have to end on that. There's nothing else we can say. There's no follow-up to that aside from
Yeah, it's all real. I think that's it. If anyone needed any validation,
please. It's so
it's real. How
precise. Yes,
magic
you
is real.
couldn't.
How
So
can you make that up? How can you
right,
dream
and that it
about
was with
an
the
unborn
ancestors
child?
and, yeah.
All of it, all of it. The timing is exact.
And it was right,
Everything
and she
happens for
told
a
you it's
reason.
right before the call. And somehow you maintained your composure throughout this recording.
No, because I needed to. I was like, right
Yes,
at the
drop it,
end,
just drop it,
I'm
mic
gonna
drop,
like
boom,
throw this
done.
thing. Mic drop. Boom.
You were practicing patience very beautifully until now. So, yes, I'm going to be reflecting on that symbolically as well going into the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Bring it,
More
bring
rage,
it,
more
bring it.
magnetism. Bring it on. All the surrender, all the
And
royalty, everything. All of it. All of it. Aw, I appreciate you
yeah.
and love you very much, and I wish you
So much
beautiful full moon.
love.